Good afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you are. Happy Friday. Glad you're all here. Um, Today, I'm hanging out with my good friend Nick, and we're going to be working through some of the labs, or probably one of the labs, on isurveillance.com/labs. But how are you doing, Nick?
I'm doing well. Happy whatever, everybody. Happy
Indeed.
Friday. Yeah, I'm doing super. Today's been a pretty good day.
Nice. Awesome.
How about you?
I'm doing pretty well as well. We actually had a really good event last night. We went, so we had the first Cilium meetup, I think.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Maybe in 2 years, maybe longer. It's been quite a while for sure, but I suspect that, but we'll be doing them more often. But it was really good. I got to see a really good friend, Walter Lee, who is really awesome. Can you hear me better, or is it too loud?
It's actually quite loud. You're kind of getting blown out. I don't know what happened.
How about that? Is that better?
Yeah, now you're quite a bit quiet.
How about that?
There we go.
All right.
That's right.
But yeah, I got to see a good friend, Walter Lee, who I know from the community, and he's just a tremendous technologist, and it was really good to see him. And I got to see a bunch of other folks from different companies come out and hang out with us at the event. And so I thought generally it was a really good event. I was really glad people were able to make it out. And it feels like it's been forever since we were able to really do kind of in-person events like that before, or again.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
That's great.
It's freaking awesome.
Yeah, how many people do you think showed up?
I think we had about 30 people total.
Nice. That's a pretty good group.
Yeah, and I think it was nice because we had an indoor and an outdoor space. So the indoor space was actually pretty good for doing the presentation part. We had 2 monitors, and I could talk through the presentation. And then the outdoor space was one of the outdoor fenced off areas.
Mm-hmm.
So we had really good food and really good beer, and just can't complain. It's totally amazing.
Nice.
In fact, I should bring up my news, because what we're talking about is the first item.
Hey.
And so if you want to be a part of this the next time it happens, if this is something that you're interested in, I think the next one we're targeting for early May, but we'll be doing it more frequently throughout the year. So in May, if you want to see this happen, you can always just go to isurveillance.com events, and you're going to find all of the events that are happening, that have happened, that are planning to happen. All of those things will show up here. And so if this is something that you're interested in, definitely check it out. There's actually a couple of things that are coming up toward the end of February. I think one of them is not here yet. On the 28th of February, we're going to have a virtual Cilium security workshop. And then we have an on-demand session right now that basically takes you through what eBPF looks like and feels like and what it actually does. And then there's also a fireside chat with Liz on her upcoming O'Reilly book, which is pretty awesome. So if these things are of interest to you, you know where to find them. They're isurveillance.com/events.
Nice.
The other thing I usually do in each of these episodes is talk about the newsletter. And, it was actually pretty awesome at the event last night. I met a few people that I haven't met before, and some of them really had nice things to say. A shout out to Bill for the work that he's doing in putting this newsletter together. Because they were like, a lot of times I just get newsletters and I'm like, I don't really want to know anything about what's happening inside of this newsletter. But the eBPF one actually is really useful. It actually shows me stuff I care about.
Nice.
So that was actually pretty cool.
Big shout out to Bill. A lot of great work here. A lot of cool stuff in this as well. Like a just well curated list of interesting tech and events and things like that.
I like it a lot. So we have the Cilium annual report is out. It will show, you will find quantitative or 60% more comments on PRs and 4 times more blogs than last year, etc. Kind of showing you what we're up to with the open source project. As part of the ecosystem growth of the Cilium open source project, I'm not sure that you're aware of this, but if you aren't, you should definitely become aware that this year in Amsterdam will be the first time that we host CiliumCon, which will be an event in which we are inviting end users, contributors, and new community members to the Cilium project to come be a part of that event in Amsterdam. It'll happen on the 18th of April. and it should be a good time. I'll be there. I hope that folks who are listening will also be there. I'm not sure. Sagi, are you headed to Amsterdam this year or not yet?
I don't have any plans to it, so I want to. Like, it's one of those things, like all of these things I want to get there, but like the planning and everything that's going has to go in. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make it out to Amsterdam this year for sure.
Well, the good news is that I'm coming up to Seattle again here pretty soon. So
hey, perfect.
There
we go.
We'll get to hang out then.
Yeah, we'll have our own Cilium Con.
Yeah. This is our CFP for Cilium Con. So if you're listening to this and you're using Cilium, or if you're a contributor to Cilium or what have you, if you would like to submit to speak to the CFP, this is the button you would click. It is open until February 12th, which is tomorrow. No, 2 days from now. Sunday? Is that right?
It is 2 days from now, Sunday.
Yeah. So, spend a little time, get a CFP in. If you need help getting a CFP in, reach out to me. I would be happy to help. I'm, of course, Maui Lion everywhere. And if you wanted to, I just realized that for some reason you can't see my name in the.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I was like, I guess things changed.
Let me change it back. Black. Oh, I wonder if it's because I have. No, that's interesting. There we go.
Hey,
the names are back. So I'm Maui Lion. You can find me everywhere at Maui Lion. I'm on the Kubernetes Slack, on the Cilium Slack, etc. So if you'd like help getting a CFP in, just let me know. I'm happy to help review that and get it and help you get it submitted. But it's on you to figure out what you want to talk about. I would love to help in any way that I can.
Just a heads up, as it says there at the bottom, Cilium Con is for Cilium, Hubble, and Tetragon related discussions, right? So obviously a big focus on eBPF stuff, but not eBPF won't be the major piece. We're talking about just the Cilium.
Correct. Things, it's not an eBPF day like the previous episodes or the previous things that we posted. But yeah, looking forward to it. Should be a fun event this year. So our labs are available. We have a bunch of labs that I wanted to show you real quick, and then we're going to start working through doing one of them. So if we go to isovalent.com/labs, we can find a bunch of different labs, also a bunch of other resources, but a bunch of different labs that are available to kind of self-guide your way through them, right? And those labs cover everything from L7 load balancing with Kubernetes, Cilium Enterprise Zero Trust Visibility, SCP on Cilium, which is a relatively new one. There's just a ton of really good stuff in here, including Cilium Load Balancer IPAM and BGP service announcement. Just really great enablement. If any of these use cases really appeal to you, this is a great place to get started and just kind of get your hands on the tech and see how these things work without having to spin this up in your own environment. Right? These labs are hosted on a platform called Instruct.
Yeah, and I got to say, I'm really impressed with the Instruct platform. Like, it's a really, really cool way of doing labs. Like, I've done a couple of these now, and it's awesome. Like, it's really cool just to be able to be like instructions and the terminal and all the terminals that you might need and all those things. It's really cool. Also, go to our labs, and what you'll see here is a huge collection of things put together by some Isovalent folks. A huge shout out to our colleague Raphael, who's contributed like a few of these. I don't know how he found the time to do it, but like a few of these labs. Nico and Robin as well have just been crushing it on these labs. They're great.
Yeah, agreed. I've been super impressed with the work that they've been able to crank into that as well. It's like a ton of really great content that is delivered in a way that is super easy to work with.
Yep.
So today we're actually going to be working through one of these labs. But before I jump into that, I wanted to also point out that some of these labs say earn a badge on them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that means that when you complete that work, you can actually put a badge up in social media or on LinkedIn or whatever and show that you've actually been, studying Cilium, and you get a badge that looks like this one, which was given to my good friend Walter Lee, who I got to see last night. So we've come full circle, So there's Walter's smiling face. And this is the link to the Credly badge that was given to him. And they're pretty cool looking. They got like a machine looking thing. But this is a certified badge showing that you've actually been doing studies for, or you've been studying Cilium in your time. So if this is something that's interesting to you, this is also a great way to kind of like both boost your own value in the market and also just show that you're a technologist. You're interested in all kinds of cool stuff. The one that we're going to do today is the WireGuard and IPsec one.
Yep.
So
before we jump in, Russell Wade says hello. Hello, Russell. And Dariush also says hello and asks if there's any labs on Cilium and EKS.
I am not sure if there's an EKS lab.
I'm taking a look right now.
I think these are all self-hosted, so I don't think that we would necessarily take you through an EKS model.
Yeah, I don't think we have EKS as a lab yet. We do have documentation on Cilium.io around the installation of Cilium and EKS.
Exactly.
So there's plenty of information there, but I don't think we have a lab just yet. Or if we will, I don't know.
Yeah. But as Nick is pointing out, there is actually instructions on how to install on EKS, and there are a variety of different ways that you can do it, right? Because we actually support a number of different install methods inside of EKS. So if you were to leverage EKS Kettle, for example, to go ahead and spin up a Kubernetes cluster, this is actually leveraging the Cilium CLI. Will actually take you through how to do it.
Yep.
So. Good stuff there. Oh, I didn't realize that they actually linked to the Exploring the Cilium CLI Echo office hours that I did a while ago. That was a fun one. So yeah, really good stuff. Oh, I'm sorry. You should reach out to me in the Cilium Slack. I'd love to hear more about what the problem was. But I'm curious about that. I know that we've actually had a number of people deploy Cilium in EKS. We have a number of customers using it full time. So if you had trouble, I would love to understand a little bit more about that. Or if you opened issues against the Cilium open source project, I would love to dig into what you saw and what you ran into. So yeah, definitely let us know. In the meantime, let's go ahead and get started here. And the wrong. Oh, I see. I didn't go there. Just 1 second. Let me find my link.
Yeah, while you're doing that, also, I changed my name. I don't know if you can read it, though. Let me adjust this a little bit. You can also reach out to me on the Slack as well, the Cilium Slack. I'm Soggy, SOGGY.
Yeah, you are.
Hell yeah, man.
I actually love the origin story of that name. It's one of my favorites.
I know. We'll get into it another time.
All right. So I can jump into instruct here. And look for WireGuard. There we go. So when you first log in, you're going to see something like this page, which will describe Cilium's transparent encryption with IPsec and WireGuard. There are actually two options to encrypt traffic back and forth between Cilium managed endpoints, right? We could do this with IPsec, and we can also do it with WireGuard. Shout out to the track authors on this one. This was written by Nico Wiebert and Raphael Pinson. So great to see the work that's happening here. But this basically enables us to ensure that all traffic that is moving back and forth between hosts is encrypted.
But Duffy, why would you want that?
Because compliance.
Compliance is a big thing.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the big part of it. Basically, just ensuring that, maybe you're running your compute environments in untrusted environments, like you're hosting this in a data center that isn't your own, or you're, in AWS, and you want to just make sure that all of that data is encrypted, or even to, you're transiting PII data or people's personal information back and forth between services, and you want to ensure that that traffic is encrypted on the wire so that nobody can capture that traffic off of the wire and possibly get a hold of the data itself, right? Don't want that.
Yeah. But also, the most important reason is because you can say that you did that, and it's cool.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's cool. All right. So yeah, let's jump in here and see what we see. I haven't done this lab before. It says it will take 72 minutes. Ooh.
Oh,
or maybe that's the time limit. There are 6 challenges. We're going to jump in. Let's install Cilium on a cluster and set up IPsec for transparent encryption. And then we're going to manage it. Now that we've installed it, let's look at day 2 ops. And then there's a WireGuard install. And then there's a final quiz. All right. Let's give it a swing and see how it works. It's going to spin up a environment for me.
Yes, so you can see at the top right, it says progress. I think at the bottom right, it has like the time estimate.
Oh, but you can't see it.
But you can't see it because the show notes are there. That's why I called that out. So it's like spinning the environment up. It's like 7 minutes or whatever. That's what we got these.
But yeah,
the nice thing is we have these like instructional pieces here, like the things to read. So you can click to the right and scroll through and get like some more information about what you're going to see in the lab. There you go.
Yeah,
2 minutes.
2 minutes for that, and then just showing us the diagram that we saw before. Client pod, sending Mark Magic encrypt. The IP rule sends it to the encryption lookup route table. That sends it to the WireGuard interface. WireGuard does its encryption. Traffic leaves. Yeah, I like it. I can't read this, he says. So sad. Encryption in Cilium, as we said, 2 options, IPsec and WireGuard. Oh, cool. There's actually a video.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes. Echo episode 3. Wow, was I even here for episode 3?
I can find out and tell you.
This might have been like one of the very first episodes of Echo Office Hours, but
it might have been. It looks like we have a fan of WireGuard in chat. It's some random guy named Jed. Some random.
What? I thought Jed. That guy hated encryption.
Yeah, that dude hates security. I can't. What is he even here for?
I hope you're doing great, Jed. It's been a while since I saw you. I was kind of sad I didn't get to see you at the security con in Seattle last week.
Jed was here?
No, he was not. But
he's not. Okay, I was like, what?
I wanted him to be here.
I see. Yes. For everyone who doesn't know, Jed is a friend of ours and a former colleague. He is a former Isotonian.
Yeah. He's also a former Heptonian.
A former Heptonian as well, yeah.
But generally an awesome guy.
Yeah.
Now works at ChainGuard, solving other security problems.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to refresh and see if the refresh gets me there, because I would like for this to proceed. What I should have done, and I didn't do, was start this lab before and then come back to it. That was my mistake.
It's all good.
Oh, hey, there we go.
Speak of the devil.
Refresh, and you will find. All right. So we have a kind cluster. Let's have a look at this lab's environment. The cluster has been deployed in the background. Let's have a look at the configuration. Cat cluster. Can you even see that? That's pretty dim, huh? I wonder if there's a way for me to change that.
You can zoom in Firefox.
Yeah. We're just going to keep going.
Yeah.
See what it looks like. But basically, I guess you can kind of see it. Maybe it'll be a little hard to see, but I don't know how much we can really do there.
Mm-hmm.
What if I go like that? Is that a little better?
Yeah, that's actually quite a bit better.
Okay. So our cluster, this is a client. This is a kind cluster configuration, and what it creates is one control plane node and 3 worker nodes. And then in the networking section, we have disable default CNI true, which means that if I were to do kubectl get nodes, they should all be in an unready state or not ready state, because there won't be any CNI deployed. Kubectl get pods-a to see what all has been deployed here. Looks like kube proxy has been deployed. Core DNS is in a pending state, and so it looks like we're ready to kind of move on here. So they're showing basically what I just showed you there, which is 1 control plane node, 3 worker nodes. In the networking section, we disable it. Everything is good. Let's take a look at the next challenge. So how long do you think it will be before Jed points out that we're operating as root?
Well, now, immediately now.
Okay. I promise that was one of the very first things that I pointed out.
Yeah.
Encrypt key, presumably this is encryption key management. One of the common challenges with cryptography is the management of keys. Users have to take into consideration aspects such as generation, rotation, distribution of keys, and we'll look at all of these aspects in the lab and see the differences between using IPsec and WireGuard, as they both have pros and cons. The way it is addressed in Cilium is pretty elegant. So we'll take a look at like how that works.
Yeah. I store all of my keys in my public GitHub.
Nice. That's a good way to do it. Yeah.
Security, baby.
And just ignore all the emails you get. They're not talking to you, you know.
I have some strict Google filters. The security is my passion.
Yeah.
Oh,
wait.
Uh-oh. Yeah. Uh-oh.
Oh, boy.
Ooh, what's going on in the background?
Come on back to me, computer.
Well, it's all Terraform in the background, so, you know, it takes a while.
I'm gonna refresh. Haha.
Let's see.
Did play instruct just go away? I mean, I'm still talking to you, so it's not my internet connection.
No, yeah, we're still good.
That's a bonus.
I mean, yeah, play is still going. Why don't I also spin up this lab just in case we need a backup?
Right?
Yeah. Transparent encryption.
What happens is it'll remember your session. So I shouldn't have to go back through the... Yeah. So start. Yep. Oh, that was weird. So this time it just worked like right away. Okay.
Yeah, well, I probably remember the session.
I will definitely bring this up and figure out if there's something we can do here. So first, let's create a Kubernetes secret for the IPsec configuration to be stored. And the format for such an IPsec configuration key is key ID, encryption algorithm, PSK in a hex format, and then key size. So let's start by generating one. That'll be fun. And we'll just echo that.
I always get a little bit nervous with the DD command. I'm like, well, time to format this hard drive.
No, I actually, in many environments in which I've worked, I've been using like netboot technologies for things, right?
Yeah.
So I have a provisioner that when a machine comes up with an empty hard drive, then the netboot thing will kick in and it will install an operating system in there. We did this together at CoreOS a lot, like, and like that is exactly how I would like basically indicate that I wanted to like reinstall a machine, is that I would just DD over, zero over like the first 50 blocks of the disk, which wipes out the partition table, and when it comes up again, it's like, oh, install time. All right, let's do it. There's nothing here. So now we're going to go ahead and create a secret that holds this encryption key that we've created. So let's go ahead and do that. And that put the secret into the kube system namespace, and it was a generic secret called Cilium IPsec keys from literal keys. And then that was basically how we generated it, so that's cool. And if we wanted to look at the secret, we could actually look at that and see the same value.
Everyone knows that Kubernetes secrets are actually secret.
Yeah, so this maps to the following Cilium IPsec configuration: the key ID, an identifier of the key arbitrarily set to the integer 3. The encryption algorithms that will be used are AES, GCM, and GCM. And the pre-shared key that we're going to use for things is actually my 2BB95 key. Now that IPsec configuration has been done, let's go ahead and install Cilium and IPsec. So let's give that a swing. Cilium install encryption. Boop. Encryption enabled true. It auto-detected that the Cilium CLI has actually come quite a long way. And in this particular case, it's doing some pretty interesting stuff, right? It's detected that I'm running on a Kind cluster. It's detected the version of Kind is 0.14.1. It's using Cilium version 1.12. It's going to use data path mode tunnel. It's generated a Cilium CA for all of the certificate generation needs. And then it's gone ahead and deployed all of the pieces. It found an existing encryption secret, Cilium IPsec keys, and then it went ahead and made use of that. So now if I do kubectl get pods-a, I can see that Cilium has been deployed and it's operating. And if I do Cilium status, things looking pretty happy. And then my other favorite command, kubectl exec and kube system, yes, Cilium status, encryption IPsec. There we go. All right, so it looks like everything deployed fine. Let's see what happens next. Verification. IPsec was easy to install, but we need to verify that the traffic has been encrypted. We will use TCP dump to find this out. So let's verify the traffic is encrypted and encapsulated in IPsec tunnels. First, let's shell into one of the Cilium agents. And then let's install a packet analyzer, TCP dump, to inspect some of the traffic. Why would I do that instead of a Cilium agent? But okay, sure, why not?
You're doing it on the Cilium agent, aren't you?
Yeah. All right, cool.
It does seem to me that it might be better to have like a dedicated pod specifically for this.
Or like on a host,
on a host or something. But whatever. Let's go along with the lab. Hey, that's some feedback.
This is feedback I can give later on.
Yeah.
Now let's run TCP dump. We are filtering based on traffic on the Cilium VXLAN interface. When using Kind, Cilium is deployed in a VXLAN tunnel, which we know, and then meaning that we set the VXLAN tunnels between our nodes. So if we do TCP dump -n -I for interface, Cilium VXLAN. And then we look for ESP packets, which are the encryption or the encrypted packets for traffic, and then we should start seeing those happening. So this is traffic moving back and forth between pods in our cluster. The Cilium agents, moving back and forth. All right. Very cool. Cilium's IPsec implementation leverages a framework called XFRM, which is a very efficient way of handling this. And if we wanted to see that, we could actually take a look at the configuration. FRM T. This is looking at just the source. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
So in that TCP dump really quickly, so we saw that, there's a ESP section. If we weren't using IPsec, what might that section look like?
I would not see any ESP packets.
Right.
So if I just deployed it.
Would you see like the plain text of the packet that's being transferred?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It would look entirely unencrypted. I would be able to see like the health checks going back and forth between things. I'd be able to see that it was a curl and that it would like all of that stuff.
Cool.
But with the ESP packets, all I can see is that it's encrypted stuff.
Right.
So this is showing us that indicates that traffic from 10.244.20 pod CIDR on the node where the agent is running to 10.244.1 pod CIDR of a different node will be sent and encapsulated down a tunnel from 10.244.2.100 to 10.244.1.5. And we can use another XFRM command to see the packet counters. So if we wanted to see, let's just click on that. If we wanted to see the actual packet counters, so this is how many packets that have gone by between all of these nodes.
Nice.
So we've got a pre-shared key that we've used for everything, but I'm curious, how to handle things like key rotation. So in IPsec, let's take a look at how that will happen. So as we've seen earlier, Cilium IPsec configuration and associated key are stored as a secret. To rotate the key, you would therefore patch the previously mentioned IPsec keys secret. During transition, the new and old keys will be used. So let's go ahead and try it out. So we'll exit the one we're in. We'll go ahead and just generate a new key. So this is the same command we used earlier to generate our key. And then the difference is that we're changing it to a different key ID. The new key ID is the key ID +1. So now we'll have a key ID 4. So let's take a look at that same command again and see what we see. So now we see key ID 4 and a completely different string, right? Before we had 3 and 2BB, now we have 4 and 8FB. Let's do our check.
Looking good so far.
So that was the IPsec encryption and how to rotate the IPsec key. It looks like the next part of our challenge is going to be taking a look at the WireGuard side.
Yep. So are there any mechanisms for managing key rotation? So in Kubernetes, right, there's a problem with certificates, right? How do you store certificates in such a way that they're secure to store and also rotate? That sort of thing. Things like HashiCorp Vault and Cert Manager are very useful for the collection and injection of certificates in a secured manner. Mm-hmm. Do we have anything like that for these keys? I mean, I'm sure you can do the same thing, HashiCorp Vault, with the keys as secrets, right?
Yep.
But I don't know if you have a Cert Manager for IPsec keys, a key manager, if you will.
Yeah. I don't think, because basically it's like a pre-shared key string, right? And so you'd have to have some mechanism for doing this. You could probably do this with a cron job or something so that you just have a cron job that would just change the identity, the ID, and the key, and iterate over time, just like every day or every week or whatever the important part for you to rotate that key is. That can be done.
That makes sense. Cool.
Yeah. Oh, that's I think probably where I would end up starting, because effectively it's just a string that's doing the work. So one of the appeals of WireGuard is that it's very opinionated. It leverages very robust cryptography and does not let the user change ciphers or protocols like we did for IPsec. It's also very simple to use. From Cilium user perspective, the experience is very similar to the IPsec deployment, albeit operationally even simpler. Indeed, encryption key pair for each node is automatically generated by Cilium, and key rotation is performed transparent by the WireGuard kernel module. So in this case, I shouldn't have to actually generate that string. Exactly. Mr. Jed, WireGuard rotates keys automatically because it has forward secrecy built in. I love the term forward secrecy. Do you know what forward secrecy means?
No, actually. I mean, I can kind of piece it together, but let me lay it on me.
So the idea is that you have, so say we're going to be using, like we're going to be doing MTLS, and I have a certificate that I'm going to use, that I'm going to give to you, and you have a certificate you're going to give to me, and we both have a mechanism by which we understand that the certificate that we've given each other is a trusted certificate that has been issued by some common authority or by an authority that we know that we should be able to trust.
Right. So Spiffy, for instance.
I mean, Spiffy. I mean, it's probably let's just keep it super simple and say this is just curl with a client key talking to a server with a server key.
Right. Okay.
So just simple. Like I have a client key that I'm going to hand to you, and you have a server key that you're going to hand to me. One of the ways that people sometimes conceptualize about how this might work is that when we do that, we're going to encrypt the traffic with the public part of the key that we receive from the server, and when the server sends traffic back to us, it's going to encrypt that traffic with the public part of the key that it gets from us. Right? That's the easiest way to conceptualize this, and that's frequently actually not the case.
Right.
Because in the perfect forward secrecy model, what actually happens is we use that key that we know, that public key that we know, to encrypt and instantiate a completely new key that is a session key only for encrypting traffic back and forth for the session that we actually are in, right?
I see.
So we're using those credentials that on each side to establish a secure channel through which we will establish a new perfect secret that is established only for the period of that session and then discarded. And that means that even if you had the encryption key, even if you were able to get a hold of the client certificate that I used for a given session, you wouldn't be able to decrypt the traffic in that session without that pre-shared key, or without that perfect key that has been established just for the session.
I see. That makes sense. And I assume like this perfect key is like created algorithmically, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. That makes perfect sense. Thank you.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's one of those things where like it happens and you don't even know. I mean, most people who are like digging into this stuff, they have no idea that like perfect forward secrecy is even a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Signal uses a mechanism called ratcheting, exchanging an ephemeral key per message with Diffie-Hellman per message.
That's a lot
to enable forward secrecy, right? So that means that like every message is a new encryption key, right? Or a new encryption key that is only good for the message for the participants in that message. So if you're like in a Signal group, when a new message shows up in that piece, that is encrypted to you and to the other members of that group. And if somebody else were to try and get a hold of it, you wouldn't be able to do it. Yeah, keys are pretty cheap. They're only getting cheaper.
Cool.
So cool.
Man, people are thinking about this stuff.
Yeah. Pause-A. You can see Cilium is not installed. Well, that is interesting, though. Do you see what I see? Because I see something strange. What?
The fact that CordioNS is running without Cilium.
Right.
Take a look at those logs.
I'm just going to look at that.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Like, unless they put it in hostnet, I don't see how that's possible. Right?
Yeah. That's weird.
How that's very weird. It can't be running. Anyway, we're going to move on with our lives.
Yeah.
So let's do our Cilium install here. So we again are running the Cilium CLI. Before we do that, we should check to see if we have a kernel that is supporting WireGuard. The WireGuard was integrated into the Linux kernel in 5.6, so our kernel has to be recent enough to support it. WireGuard was backported in some older kernels, such as the 5.4 Ubuntu 2004. I mean, currently we're running 5.15.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go ahead and try this out.
Oh, here's why. This is why. It says Cilium was automatically uninstalled before this challenge, so we can go ahead and install Cilium again, this time with WireGuard. That's why CordioNS is in running state, because it had already achieved a running state with the previous installation of Cilium.
Interesting.
Yep.
That is really interesting. Okay, well, let's see what happens. So we've done our install. You'll notice we didn't have to generate the key. The installation usually takes a minute or two. While it's installing, notice in the installation logs that the Cilium installer, notice that WireGuard was enabled and disabled the L7 proxy.
Do we see that? There it is. Okay.
So WireGuard provides some excellent benefits, but users need to be aware that some of the limitations with other Cilium features, such as incompatibility with L7 policy and visibility. This means you will not get HTTP visibility in Hubble, and you won't be able to apply Layer 7 network policy rules. You can read more about the WireGuard configuration and limitations in the Cilium documentation about WireGuard. But now Cilium should be installed. Let's go ahead and take a look at how it works. So produce Cilium status. Oops. These things are deployed, and if I just do my kubectl exec Cilium status. See, the encryption type is WireGuard using the Cilium WG0 interface, and there is a public key for that. And there are 3 peers.
Well, that's cool.
And the other interesting thing is that we can see the public key of this particular host, right? This host that I actually ended up execing into is a different host. It's just one of the containers. The first one that I jumped into was hard to say from the output here which one it is. So let's do our validate the setup piece and see how they will go about this. So you might have noticed that unlike with IPsec, you didn't have to manually create an encryption key. One advantage of WireGuard over IPsec is the fact that each node automatically creates its own encryption key pair and distributes its public key via the IO Cilium Network WG pub key annotation in the Kubernetes Cilium node custom resource object. So kubectl get Cilium node YAML. Oh, there you go. It's a little easier to read. Custom. This is my favorite -O option in kubectl. Custom columns. Name. Name. key. This was
Dariush, have a good day. Have a good night. This is straight up the first time I've ever seen anyone use custom columns.
I love it because it actually makes it a lot easier. I used to do like loops for this kind of stuff, but it was really kind of a pain.
All right, see you on Slack, Dariush. I was just reading chat for a second. Yeah, great. That's really smart, actually. I just for some reason have just never tried using custom columns. And when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right?
Yeah, true. So this is the name of the node, and this is its pre-shared key. And we can see that each one is different, right? Which is different than the scenario in IPsec where we have one pre-shared key that is across the whole set. Mm-hmm. In this case, each individual node has its own key.
Right.
Which I like a lot.
Yeah. And then it uses its key to establish the session through encryption magic.
Yeah. Oh, wow. See, this is another way to do it. This is probably how you do it. So I just did this using custom columns, but they are doing this with like get Cilium with JSON path.
Jed is blasting off. See you, Jed. Good. Thanks for dropping by.
Good to see you.
Have fun being a encryption wizard.
And amazing in general.
Yes.
All right. Let's run a shell on the agent. We've already seen that we're running WireGuard. So let's explain this briefly. We have 3 peers, an agent running on each one. WireGuard tunnel endpoints are exposed via UDP 51871. Public keys are the same value. So let's go ahead and do our validation again. So kubectl exec ti-n kube system. I need to talk to them about this because we should just be doing this on the underlying node. Let's take a look here. Apt install TCP dump. Let's see what we see. For traffic moving back and forth. Oh, they want us to deploy some pods.
It also says everyone's out here trying to make things more secure, but who's thinking about the poor hackers? You're making their lives harder.
It's just rude, you know?
I wasn't down there in the hacking mines for 14 days or 14 hours every day. But yes, the leaps and bounds of security, hopefully making hackers' lives a little bit harder is I'm pretty excited about it. And also making it easy, right? Like these things could have all been done kind of at any point. Like you can figure out your own like encryption technology, but like the fact that like WireGuard just like works, it's in the kernel, and all these things just like you can just apply and it works is great. Like easier and easier ability to utilize encryption and security mechanisms. I'm all for it, man. It's very exciting.
Oh, you know what? I think I'm probably in the wrong node. I think what I need to do is actually be in a very specific node for this particular. They don't actually say which one you have to be in. But presumably, let's see. kubectl get pods. I ended up on worker 3, and they want me to be in worker 1, worker or worker 2. So if I do kubectl exec, actually let's do this. This is the kind cluster. I'm just going to docker exec in. And worker. Update. Oh, they don't have access. That's why they didn't do it on the other host. All right. So kubectl get pods. Kube system. My prep worker. Here is our jumping into the Cilium node on that node here. See that we're now on kind worker 2. Updates.
That's always the stuff I forget. I was like, why isn't this installing? Apt update, maybe.
Now if I do this one.
Yeah.
Oh. Oop. There we go.
Hey.
So now we're seeing the traffic pass over the WG interface. We see the request and the reply. Okay. And there we go. We completed it. That is our whole lab. Let's jump into our challenge here, and then I'm going to head into the city.
Sounds good. Final quiz. Hot shot.
WireGuard is available? No.
Yes. No. Damn it. No. It's...
With WireGuard, you need manually vote no. Cilium IPsec is stored in a Kubernetes secret. True. WireGuard does not let user. True. Rotating a PSK with IPsec requires patching a Kubernetes secret.
Yes, but not necessarily. But in this case, yes.
Trick question, I feel like. That's a trick question.
It depends on how your key mechanism.
And they say, oh, you did it.
Yeah, good job.
Awesome. Well, that was walking through a lab. I hope that y'all found that fun, and that, you know, if you're out there, try it out. I want to see what labs Russell gets up to. So next time I see Russell, I want to know what labs you did.
Yeah. This is a challenge, Russell. Get on it.
The gauntlet is down. And watch, Russell has actually already done all of them.
Yeah, it's like, I've got all the badges, baby. I'm a Pokemon master.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. I had a great time. I hope that you did as well. I hope, Sagi, that you have a wonderful weekend, that you get to get out and enjoy the beautiful weather we're having.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm surprised that it's really quite nice here.
Yeah, we finally got a break, the rain and everything. I enjoy the rain, but at the same time, it is actually really nice to it's almost bicycle weather out there right now. It's ridiculous.
Still a little bit chilly for me for bicycling, but all right, everyone, have a great weekend.
And you do the same. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye, y'all.